Hey there everyone, it's been a while. 2 months ago after I uploaded my last video, I came back from a trip to New York. Then after that, I got myself a new job, finished my first year of college, and then went back for another trip in Florida to see the family after having constant anxiety attacks and wanted to puke. Good times. But now that I'm back, finally near fully motivated, ready to finally talk about new movies again now, finally with summer being here again, and with the return of summer blockbusters, which means new films are finally coming out in theaters again. Speaking of which, Luca, directed by Enrico Casarosa, is Pixar's first theatrical release since Onward last year, finally coming back into the big screen with the coming-of-age story of two sea monsters that are trying to sneak into the human world and trying to understand what it means to be human. A story and a concept that Disney has never explored before, ever. I got to see the film last week with my friends online instead of in theaters because my schedule is just absolute fucking war zone right now. So I got to see it on Disney Plus. We still had a great time watching it together. Definitely had a lot to say. So without further ado, here's what I thought about the movie. So to start with, what I first adored of this movie. So with any project that Pixar is even slightly involved in, it's going to be the animation. I wonder if I should even ever mention in these reviews ever again at this point. I mean, think about the history of this studio. Even at their absolute worst, of course, too. Their animation never fails but to simply amaze you. And this film is no exception. And the animation is rather fresh this time around, ditching the strange formula that they've been going for in development of just absolute hyper-realism that they've been going for the last few animated films, like in Toy Story 4. For the first time in a while, they actually started going for a more cartoony look to this film. You can definitely feel a more classic, almost Looney Tunes or even DreamWorks style of animation, which ironically I would never expect comparing a Pixar film to a DreamWorks film, but I'm here saying it. It looks like a DreamWorks film, and I absolutely fucking love it. It's absolutely just stunning. There's concept art of this film online that you can just stare at for hours of just absolutely how breathtaking it is. You just can't help but look, and it gives it a very own unique style that helps it stand out. While Toy Story 4 and even Soul goes for this very hyper-realistic form of animation to look as realistic as possible in the cartoony world, Luca just embraces the cartoony style of its animation. No matter how you look at it, the animators were clearly putting their blood and sweat into this project, as usual. But the main characters weren't too bad either, from Luca and Alberto clearly being the main standouts of the entire film, with lines like "Silencio Bruno" and "¿Qué estás haciendo, estúpido?" pretty much being iconic lines at this point already ever since its release. You just can't help but smile, and you can't help but laugh, you can't help but just chuckle and have a good time by watching these two characters have their little feuds. And they're pretty much the heart and soul of all of Luca. However, like most films, Luca definitely has its flaws. But unlike most of Pixar's latest releases, this is the first time I felt this kind of reaction to one of their films. A reaction of disappointment. Now, I think you all know what I think about Soul at this point. It came at a very hard time for my family and I. We all had just caught COVID, and for the first few weeks we all felt like we were dying, and for the first 2 weeks we actually did think my dad was going to die. So when this film came out, to see such a masterpiece of filmmaking, and for all of us to watch it together, you can definitely say it hit us in a very emotional way. You expect nothing but absolute quality filmmaking, absolute quality storytelling, absolute quality writing, and absolute quality characters. Their films for these last few years, especially more than ever, have just been absolute attention to detail. For honestly really not seeing a big new release, aside from the TV shows in the last few months, I had a lot of high expectations. I can't deny it. So to go from a film like Soul, then go to a film like Luca, you just can't help but feel a little disappointed. I had a lot of expectations for this movie. What did I get out of it? Some fish boys making Italian insults for half an hour and trying to get a moped for another half an hour. Yeah, the stakes weren't as high. Now, as I've stated in my reviews before, not every film has to have plots with very high stakes to be a good story. Hell, most coming-of-age stories are rather uneventful, especially the most iconic ones. Hell, some of my favorites, like the John Hughes ones, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or The Breakfast Club. Even though Luca's clearly going for a more simple kind of story, there's so many moments in this film that it misses out on so many opportunities that it just throws away for a chance to tell richer stories or more complex characters. Perfect example, the little girl's father that Luca and Alberto befriend mid-story, shown to be missing an arm. Clear hinting at a tragic backstory where he lost an arm due to one of the sea monsters, explaining his hatred towards them. A few minutes later, it's revealed that he just was born without one. Played for a joke. Perfect example, the little girl's father that Luca and Alberto befriend mid-story, shown to be missing an arm. Clear hinting at a tragic backstory where he lost an arm due to one of the sea monsters, explaining his hatred towards them. A few minutes later, it's revealed that he just was born without one. Played for a joke. Not to mention one of Pixar's laziest villains, the dude that's clearly over at least 16. He's at least over 16-year-old, picking, even harassing little kids, keeping some of them as servants. How are none of the parents seeing this and sounding the alarm? There's just so many moments like that in this film where so much opportunity is just clearly thrown out the window just to tell a more rushed and simple story, which a simple story can be great and they can be usually quite entertaining. And Pixar has been the studio to prove that even the most ridiculous of concepts before, like a rat that wants to cook, can somehow be so complex and rich. But in a film that really Disney has explored so many times before, they seem to not even want to have a little hint of originality or a hint of creativity in it. They play it safe throughout the whole story. Hell, even with its characters, the side characters, or even main bad guys that they have through this film, are just completely dismissed or just completely played for jokes and made to be some of the most dull, unsophisticated, and cliche villains we've ever had. It makes you go wondering why Pixar wouldn't try to explore more adult themes as they clearly have before. Once again, it goes back to the idea that they just want to be known for the preteen fish movie where the kids want a fucking moped. But to be honest, all that still wasn't enough to take away from the joy my friends and I had when watching Luca. From the outstanding animation Pixar always brings, to the fun and lovable main characters that keep Luca a solid story throughout the entire film. You just can't help but enjoy it, and honestly in the end, I guess it just really shows that I really miss more Pixar's masterclass in filmmaking. In conclusion, with its outstanding animation as always and its lovable and fun characters throughout the entire film, Luca, despite its very weak and even rushed writing throughout the story, still manages to be a fun and entertaining ride throughout the entire runtime that in the end just leaves you wanting more from Pixar's usual masterclass in storytelling and animation. And especially after watching a film like Soul, it just leaves you a little disappointed. I'm going to give Luca a 7.5 out of 10. It's just a little disappointing, but it's still a damn good experience the whole way through. Guys, I really had fun doing a review like this again. It's felt like it's been a whole year already since I've done a review. For the last review that I've done was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The last real joy I had watching that show, aside from watching Luca, a lot of great stuff has been happening in my life. But at the same time, I've done an absolutely shit job at handling all that. I can't lie to you. I really have to start learning what it means to be an adult and all the responsibilities that come with it. Admittedly, last year when I graduated during the pandemic, I thought I was already ready for all the responsibilities of adulthood because I'd already been working since I was 15 for my family, so I thought I knew everything I had to know about growing up. But I realized really living indoors for most of all this and really just being closed in inside the walls of my room, really not a healthy experience and really did not help me learn to grow up. It's been a very challenging and very unique experience seeing a lot more of the adult world. The great stuff and the very ugly stuff. And things have really been changing, and really they have for the better. And I can't wait to show you guys all of it. Thank you all for watching, and you have a lovely day. Enjoy your summer, guys. See ya.